Thank you all for being here. The decision announced today by the governor represents a phenomenal lack of leadership by this governor. You know, leadership means seeing a problem and finding a solution. Leadership's not seeing a problem and throwing in the towel. And what the governor did today was recognize that he saw a problem and he threw in the towel. And he threw in the towel on a public works project that has been called, not by me, but by people across the country, as the largest single investment of federal dollars in the history of our country. The ARC Tunnel is the largest single public works project in the United States. It's a public works project that would have provided $18 billion in economic activity for the state of New Jersey. It would have provided 6,000 construction jobs. It's a project that has already had over $500 million expended, and it's a project now, because of this canceling, it's going to cost the state of New Jersey up to $300 million to pay back to the federal government. And the basis of this entire decision, this entire travesty, is 3 pieces of paper without any data, no numbers, no information about how they came up with this, other than they pulled a number out of thin air by a committee of insiders, because it's been the governor's agenda to cancel this project from the day he took office. He recognized the ability to steal $2 billion from this project for the Transportation Trust Fund, and that's exactly what he's going to be able to do by canceling this project.
Can you, we got here a second late. This project was important to the state, or is important to the state?
This project is important to the state. New Jersey is the most congested state in the nation. We have more cars on our roads than our roads can handle, and the way to solve that is to get people out of their cars and on mass transit. The only way to expand our mass transit capacity in the state is with additional rail. Well, you can't build additional rail. Our tunnel under the Hudson River is at 98% capacity. There's no place to put trains, and therefore no place to put people on those trains. So what this governor has said to the commuters who sit in traffic and had hoped for relief, he said to them, sit so longer. You know, this project has taken 30 years to get to this point, and it's now canceled. No, yes?
John, what then would you say would be the backstop if there is overruns, cost overruns, as the governor suggested?
Well, this report, well, first of all, the governor's cost estimate that he's come up with adds $5 billion to it. The New Jersey Transit cost estimate, which this governor has had since he took office, is the number that's always been on this, which is a maximum of $10.7 billion. We are at a point in time, if you look at the projects that are being bid on the New Jersey Turnpike and on the Parkway, bids are coming in at 20% below estimate. There is no better time to be doing this type of public works project than right now. The governor's throwing away that opportunity. He's throwing away that opportunity with no clear plan to solve the congestion under the Hudson River, no clear plan to get cars off the roads, and no clear plan to improve our mass transit system.
Is this more about canceling the John Corzine Memorial Tunnel than it is about public policy?
Well, it's not the John Corzine Memorial Tunnel. Look back in the history of this state. It's not John Corzine, and it's not Dick Cody, and it's not Jim McGreevey, but a host of former governors who have all wished and hoped that they could find $3 billion in federal money to build this tunnel. And after a confluence of a Bush administration, FTA run by now Commissioner Jim Simpson, that put $3 billion on the table, and the Port Authority put another $3 billion on the table, and the state of New Jersey put $2.25 billion on the table, something that took 30 years to happen. This governor walks away from it. He refuses to solve the problem. He throws in the towel. He's looking for the easy out. That's not leadership. That's a failure of leadership.
John, real quickly, yesterday, you know, we were talking yesterday about this whole thing. You had not been advised by the governor on what he was planning on doing. Is this something he could have taken to the voters of New Jersey, even if it went over cost, and said, do you want this? Is this something where he could have consulted with Democrats like yourself on transportation?
But you don't do leadership by referendum. This is a project that's needed by the state. This is a project that would have increased our economic opportunities. This is a project that would have relieved congestion. It would have enhanced our rail capacities. It's a project that had a solution. It's a project that can be solved. This governor walked away from it. That's unforgivable.
Where would you have gotten the money if there were additional costs?
If there are additional costs, is a very good point by the majority leader, but we don't have a solution for the Transportation Trust Fund. This governor has deliberately painted himself into a corner, has taken solution after solution off the table. 9 months into office, remember, when he took office, his transition committee had a solution for the TTF. He's ruled that out, and he has not yet come up with a solution. The TTF, the Transportation Trust Fund, is a way, if there are cost overruns, you could pay for this. He has no solution for that either.
Is there something you could do, lawmakers can do now that he says he doesn't want this tunnel project? Are you all planning anything?
We're going to look at what the options are, but you know, the next
What are
time,
the options?
well, we're going to look at them. We're going to, first of all, look,
What can you
this report, 3 pages, okay, has no data to it. This is the 3 pages that cost New Jersey $6 billion today. There's no information behind it. I know one person in there asked a question about where the data is. We don't have it. We'd like to see the data. Let's start there.
What is that?
This is a memo from the ARC Executive Committee dated October 7th that says they're going to cancel the tunnel.
That committee.
It's Jim Weinstein, Jim Simpson, Tony Kosha, Bill Baroni. This is a committee appointed by the governor to kill the tunnel.
Wasn't one of the people on that committee the person responsible? Oh, sorry. Okay.
What do you think the governor should have done, or what do you think is the right thing to do now?
The governor should have looked at alternatives like coming up with a solution for the Transportation Trust Fund so that we had a long-term funding solution for our transportation needs. The governor should have looked at communicating with our federal legislators about looking for additional help from the federal government. This governor unilaterally killed this project. I know the majority leader had a couple of comments
Also,
here.
we should look at the scope of the projections of it. We should have made a commitment. Senator Lautenberg's been out in front and making sure the federal dollars are there. We should have had an open and positive discussion, not a 3-page memo from a hand-picked committee that was destined for failure to begin with. This is a project that for 23,000 commuters each and every day on the New Jersey Turnpike, as well as hundreds of thousands of New Jerseyans' property values and economic future is now in peril based on this terrible decision today.
Whose numbers are we to believe on the actual cost of the project?
Well, I would tell you what. You know whose numbers to believe? New Jersey Transit came up with an $8.7 to $10 billion estimate for this tunnel. Jim Simpson, the man who is the governor's transportation commissioner, signed off and approved an $8.7 billion number that included $1.1 billion in contingencies for cost overruns. Those aren't my numbers. Those are the numbers of the people down the hall there. If they were right then, why aren't they right now? But we've already seen that this administration is very fast and loose with the truth. We heard it today from Commissioner Schundler, and I'm sure we heard it again today on the governor's announcement on this canceling of the project.
But Assemblyman, the governor said he even thinks he's sounding like a broken record and saying you can't spend money that you don't have. So
but it's his contention that there are going to be $5 billion in cost overruns by a hand-picked committee of administration insiders who are going to do his bidding. So it's not an objective assessment that there are cost overruns. It's this administration's assessment because this administration wants to use the state share to shore up the Transportation Trust Fund because this Republican governor is happier going around to Iowa and California talking about how he's such a conservative governor, he doesn't have to raise fees or taxes to do the business of the state of New Jersey. Well, this fits into his national political agenda, and because of that, the people, the commuters of this state are going to suffer.
So what,
be very clear, if I can, be very clear. Everything that's been bid on this project so far, every job that's been awarded, has been either under budget or on budget. There is no documentation out there publicly that shows $1 of a cost overrun anywhere in the ARC tunnel. All we have is a 3-page memo with no documentation. You asked what we should do. We should demand, if not, possibly subpoena those records so that the people of New Jersey, those who have an economic hope for the future, jobs that are tethered to New York City and a $50 billion economy, have the right to ask and understand why this terrible decision was made today.
You were mentioning that this is a Republican governor. Right? Do you think this is a partisan fight or a partisan decision?
Conservative.
I think it's a conservative fight. I think this governor has made it known that he's going to make his mark as the conservative governor, and he's going to cut and slash where he can. But this is one of those decisions where it's solvable, but this gets him national headlines, this gets him statewide headlines, this covers up the revelations today by Brett Schundler about how this administration misrepresented the race to the top. This is pure partisanship, and that's the only thing that comes out of this front office is pure partisanship.
Let me tell you one other thing, if I can. Today, we talked about $400 million lost in federal dollars over an incompetent administration and a partisan fight where we heard it was just all about personalities and vendettas. Today, we lose $3 billion this afternoon based on, frankly, conservative ideology and a check mark when you want to run for potential higher office. We should never, ever, ever hear from Chris Christie ever again that we don't get our federal share of dollars here in New Jersey. Because when we get them, we don't keep them.
Well, I guess he said yesterday he doesn't, well, he says he's not running for higher office. Do you really believe him again?
I'm not sure why he's in Iowa and California and Illinois. I'm sure there's better things he can be doing, like solving the problems of the state of New Jersey, sitting down with stakeholders to try to find a way to solve the Arc Tunnel problem. Instead, he's out campaigning for John Kasich and out campaigning for Meg Whitman. That doesn't do anything for the people who live in this state. It only does something for this governor's political reputation.
You said that.
Look for money that's already been
300 million.
We have to pay back money that's already been spent. $300
$300
million.
How do you
$300
know
million.
that? He seemed to brush that off when she asked it.
It's part of the formula. It's part of the documents.
That we have to pay back?
We have to pay back. There's almost $600 million been spent on this tunnel. You know, if you go up under Route 1 and 9 on Tonnelle Avenue, there's an overpass been built. They're working on the start of this tunnel. And so now New Jersey has the tunnel to nowhere, and we're going to pay $300 million for it.
Senator Longberg's release actually gives you the PL today, Michael, the actual reference to the law that it is, but it's $300 million. Now, in this day and age, when we can't afford, I don't care what it is, women's health care, all sorts of things that he says no to, we have found $300 million to frankly fund his conservative credentials. It's terrible.
You said that this is the largest federal
This is the largest
project,
federally funded public works project in the history
the big dig in Massachusetts?
This is more than the big dig. $3 billion of federal money in this project is the largest commitment of federal dollars in the history of the United States.